last night, I want to say maybe 8-ish or whatever, there's a knock at the door. And
hold on. Before you go there, I think we should remind people of exactly what we did over the last 24 plus hours in terms of our content and how we have surged up the ladder considerably.
Well, no, I think we should. What I thought was, see, now you're messing up the story.
All right,
tell the story. So there's a knock at the door. Jason gets the door. He shuts the door. He says, the police are here for you, he tells me. And he's less than pleased, as he is not anywhere near on my revolutionary path, let's say. So I open the door and there's plantation police officers, 2 of them standing there. And they say to me, we need to talk to you, or we would like to talk to you about a post you made today. And I smiled and I said, no, thank you. And I shut the door. So now I'm upstairs and I'm watching, and there's two cop cars. So I'm assuming 4 officers, and they're outside in my cul-de-sac, just standing around, not really knowing what to do with themselves, I guess. I don't know. And at this point, I'm making phone calls. I'm making sure that my husband knows he might have to bail me out. I'm making sure that he knows which lawyer to call. Like, I'm sitting here trying to figure out what's going on. Now, I thought, now I'll get to the back. See, this is how you tell a story. Okay. So the day before yesterday, on Yom Kippur, was it the day? Yeah, the day before yesterday, I burned an Israeli flag, and I did it as my atonement, as Yom Kippur is the Jewish Day of Atonement, for supporting a Zio hellscape. Okay, so I thought that the police were at my door. I assumed it was for the flag burning thing. And I'm like, okay, here we go. I'm ready. Like, I have my First Amendment lawyer. I've got a criminal lawyer. Like, I got it going on. Right. And they go away. They leave. And I'm like, all right, well, I guess they're going to go get a warrant. I don't know. Like, I had no idea. And then now, and I tell you, but then now you have to finish the story, because now the story. Okay. So if we were doing this video, it would be like, it would go from Broward, it would go from Plantation, and then it would go back one time zone into where Peter is in Niceville.
So for those that are bitching at me in the chat, you can all be quiet now, because there's a bigger layer to this story that even you're not aware of.
Yeah.
So here it comes. So I got a visit from the police at 11:30 p.m. And it wasn't a kind doorbell ring. It was a hard knock at the door.
Right.
At 11:30 at night. 2 police officers. And we're not talking about Niceville police officers. We're talking Okaloosa County Sheriff's Office.
Well, do you have Niceville police, or are they all sheriff?
No.
You have city police?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. But okay, wait. Before we reveal what it was, I want to discuss what we thought it was.
Sure.
Who we thought it was. Okay.
Do you want to say it, or do you want me to say it?
No, you need to finish telling the story. But then before we reveal who actually was the source of it, I want to say what you and I had been going back and forth with, thinking who it might be.
So the 2 officers answer the door. I did not step outside, but
Never step outside. Never, ever step outside. Okay.
But I was standing, again, I'm in a t-shirt and boxer shorts. Like, I think their intention was that I may have been asleep and that they would wake me up, give me a little startle,
Yeah.
It was always the plan. They were young, both Irish. We had a pretty cordial conversation.
Peter spoke with them, which fortunately it worked out okay, but don't do that. Okay. Don't do that. If this is you, don't do that. Don't speak with them. You have nothing to say to them. Okay. Continue.
Okay. Well, Jen and I disagree about this. I'm not going to argue with you on
Yes, because I did criminal defense and I'm an attorney. And yes, we have different thoughts about this. You do not speak to them. Continue.
So I decided to speak with them. And because I decided to speak with them, I was actually able to uncover exactly why this happened. So the first thing that they said to me was, "Do you know why we're here?" And I said, "I have absolutely no idea." Said, "You made a post on social media." And I thought,
Did you think it was the flag burning too?
that's what I thought it was.
Okay.
So I said it was, well, because they came to you.
Yeah.
We know that burning do you know, ladies and gentlemen, that it is legal to burn the American flag? It is illegal to burn the Israel flag in the United States.
Except it isn't really. That's sort of like an urban legend. But anyway, we could get into the laws about that. That's a separate thing. I've now done like my due diligence on it. But yeah, so Peter had no idea.
So as the conversation persisted, they asked me, X, Y, and Z. Do you have a hit list? Was the exact thing that they asked me. I said, you're going to need to be more specific than that. And they get into this whole, well, you said a hit list on a live stream that you did the other day. And I said, you mean like a
wait? So
like
right.
So immediately I asked them, so you're referring to like a video of some kind. And I said, did you watch the video?
No.
And they said no.
So guys, here's the hit list. Here's the graphic for the hit list. Okay. Pretty graphic, pretty clear what that is. And so, but meanwhile, we had thought when it happened to me first, there was a few hours before they came to you and we had talked.
Yeah.
And we've named names to each other, like who I think would have called the police. Like there's definitely a certain amount of local politicos down here.
Wasserman Schultz clearly was the first one that we thought.
Yeah, because we went in hard on her the other night. And usually when I do that, there'll be some repercussion. So it would have made sense for it to be her. And then there's also a local commissioner whose wife is Israeli and he's a Zio. And he blocked Peter on Instagram. So we thought, okay, it had to be one of those people. But no, it wasn't. It wasn't even about the flag burning. It was about the hit list.
If you guys have been paying attention to why our channel has surged again over the last several days, we did have a viral clip that has now eclipsed over 200,000 views on YouTube. And that is the clip about the Zionist psychopath rabbi in New York City that says that history has shown that it's ironic. They're accusing me of a hit list, and you have a rabbi talking about people are going to need to die for the state of Israel.
So we called out this synagogue, this rabbi was on the hit list, meaning that it was aggravating enough to require one to take a hit. That's the hit list. Mm-hmm. So never in any way was it mentioned any violent. All that we said is if you live in New York and you want to protest for free Palestine, this is maybe one of the places you should go. That's it. That was the call to action. But apparently, the synagogue called the police.
The rabbi saw the video or some, and you know how it is in the Zionist community. One of them sees it, they all share it, they all have their little. You heard about, after Charlie Kirk's assassination, you heard about the Zionist WhatsApp groups and X chats where all of them with Bill Ackman, they all collude together. So somebody saw it. Someone saw it, started sharing it, got back to the rabbi. She saw it.
We don't know it was her. We know it's from the synagogue, right?
They say that the synagogue called well, who the fuck do you think would have done it?
It could have been whoever the chair of the whatever of their board.
Oh, absolutely.
Well, that's what I mean. You know
Absolutely.
What I'm saying? It isn't necessarily the rabbi, although she was the one with all the psycho speak.
So she called the police. They somehow tracked down where I lived, which is not easy to do. And they found out where she lived, and they sent
easy to do.
Yeah, they sent the police directly to their door. Now, with Jen, it was much more respectable because, again, she lives in a sleepy suburb and I live in an apartment. And so they came to me with the intent, and I said it to both of them. I said, this is a form of intimidation. And they didn't hesitate. They were like, yeah, we know.
Because they're just following it. Look, they got an assignment on their desk, right? They're like, here, deputy dog, this is where you got to go. Somebody made terroristic threats. And that's probably how they phrased it. And they are, all right, we'll go talk to them. And it isn't like those guys give a shit. In fact, they'd probably really rather not be involved. I know the two guys who showed up at my door. I'm not going to say I felt bad because really get another job, get a life. But when I just smiled and said, no, thank you. And I was shutting the door, they looked at each other like they had no idea what to do. It was interesting. I mean, yeah, but so do not speak to the police unless they have a warrant. Do not speak to the police. Do not step outside. They are not your friends. Okay. Yeah. They're not your friends. They're not there to help you. They're there to incarcerate you.
That is a public place. I can say wherever the hell it is. And
it's a public synagogue. Why is that risky? This is what they're putting out there. This is on there. This is content that's out there.
Every single act of violence,
reporting it.
Every single act of violence, including the violence that supposedly happened on total happenstance on Yom Kippur in London.
Can you say false flag? Can you say distraction? Because that's what that is. I have a lot of questions.
Yeah. And you better believe that we're being monitored. Absolutely.
Well, I've been being monitored by the Israeli consulate out of Miami for like 7 years now.
Yeah.
So I get it.
So they ultimately understand. And the last thing, what was even funnier was
so you explained to them what the hit list was.
Yes, of course. But here's the thing. The police were under no obligation to reveal to us who actually called the police. And he was like, you know what? Fuck it. Here's who called the police on you. I was like, oh, really? You mean to tell me that the video that we put out that only in honest context showed a synagogue on Rosh Hashanah displaying the Israel flag, no less, decided that they didn't like the critical video that we made of them? And
really?
They decided to pull an intimidation factor, which is what the Zionist scum fuckers tend to do anyway, because that's all they've got. It's not like they would actually get on a plane and come down here and try to confront me in person. No,
it's like they tell on you. They're like tattletale. They'll tell on you. Yeah.
So that's what they decided to do. And now I'm here to tell them, look at me when I tell you this. Go fuck yourself. I'm Seriously. Coming at you 10 times harder than I did already. You're going to honestly, and I mean this sincerely, I am not suicidal. Neither is Jen.
No.
To stop me, you're going to have to kill me. That's
and can we please be very clear that what we're speaking of is completely nonviolent forms of protest? Can we be
Correct.
Very clear about that?
And we made that very clear in the video.
Hence, when you see the little flash and it's a bong.
But again, that's not the point. The point is that their intention.
See, Rachel, I told you this would get us in trouble.
Yeah, the intention was
roaring now, but yeah.
You know, everybody gets on my ass if I ever interrupt you, and you just will not let me finish.
But I'm high. What's your excuse?
I'm upset.
Okay, go on.
I'm not upset at the cops. I'm like, whatever. They're doing their job. It's not.
Yeah.
Again, this is like the thing with everybody who's getting on ice. Yeah, they suck to high heaven. But do you really think they're doing that on their own volition? They are being told to do it. That's why it's happening. And the same is true when again, just a county sheriff officer is given a call at just before midnight. And of course, they checked my record, which they said they did, and they know I'm clean. So the fact that they felt the need to do this in the middle of the night,
right,
instead of coming to me in the morning and having a regular conversation, like I said, he pounded on that fucking door like I was.
Here's where it's also more fucked up that it happened to you, right? Not only do people know where I am, but there's people in this district that are Debbie people, that are her minions, people on our commission, people that particularly would like to fuck with me, right? Like that's just,
Sure.
That makes sense, right? So it makes sense. That's why I thought, okay, it must have been what's his face calling up his little police department over there in Plantation saying, you need to go talk to her. She hurt my feelings. Yeah. But it turns out, no, it was the synagogue in New York claiming to be victims of some sort of threat, which is so ridiculous and is so them. It's so the Zio thing is to just play the victim. Nobody's threatening you with anything other than calling you out for the genocidal freaks that you are.
And that is what they are. This is another example of, I'm going to say it again, and I'm looking in the camera when I say this, and I mean this. To David Hunter in the chat, to anybody else who's in New York, to my good personal friend Jordan Chariton of Status Quo News, if you see this, if you're going to protest for free Palestine, get to the Central Synagogue in Midtown Manhattan. That's where you protest.
Yeah.
You hold that flag and you show them that you are not going to allow an organization like this that is now exercising their real power, which is to silence us from ever crossing them again. Not only am I going to cross you, but I am going to be in your crosshairs until Israel is no longer in the crosshairs of our country. That's the way it's going down now. You want to intimidate me? You want to threaten me? Okay. Game on. Get ready. Because I love a good challenge.